Hello, BookTube, and welcome to another weekly reading vlog. I've been working on these books this week. Actually, there's one more, Wolf Hall, which I finished on Friday and reviewed on Friday. And actually, I've already returned it to the library, so I can't show it to you. But these three books plus Wolf Hall. So after finishing with Wolf Hall, I'm continuing on with the next book in the Thomas Cromwell trilogy, Bring Up the Bodies, and I'm up to page 70 on it. I don't know if this is just me, but so far I'm finding this much more readable than Wolf Hall was. I don't know, maybe I've just gotten used to Hilary Mantel's prose style. But Wolf Hall, I felt like I was sometimes struggling against the prose. So far, I'm finding this very readable. We'll see. We'll see. I'm only 70 pages into it, so we'll see what the rest of it reads like. But yeah, so far very readable, very enjoyable. Nothing's really happening yet, but a lot of stuff is being set up to happen. So far so good. And then Journey to the West. So as I've mentioned the past few weeks, my new policy with Journey to the West is to just read one story each time. Sometimes the story will, by each time I mean each week. Sometimes the story will span one chapter, sometimes it'll be two, or sometimes three chapters, but just I've come to the conclusion that this is best enjoyed in small doses as a story collection rather than as a novel. This week I was reading chapter 86. Was reading chapter 86, which was Sorry, I'm getting a little bit confused here. I was reading chapter 87. 87, which they go to a town. They're still on their journey through the West. They go into a town. I believe this town is right on the border of India. And they are going through that town, and all the people are miserable because it hasn't rained for years. And the king is trying to get it to rain, but it won't rain. So when Monkey hears what's going on, he says, "Oh, that's no problem. I can get it to rain easily." So he calls the rain dragons into the sky and tells them that they need to rain. But the rain dragons say, "Well, we're not going to rain because we don't have the authority from heaven to rain." And they need like an order from heaven to make it rain first. It struck me that perhaps this is a little bit of an inconsistency in this book, in this collection, in this novel, if you will. I do recall very early on in the first volume, one of the reasons that this whole thing got going in the first place is because one of the dragons let it rain when he didn't have the authority from heaven to do so, and then ended up being beheaded as a punishment. And that set off a whole chain of reactions that was one of the catalysts for starting off this whole journey to the West. I'm not going to recall that whole thing just now. But there was another chapter, and I forget which one this was, when Monkey was having a showdown with the Taoist monks. And in that chapter, I think it was implied that if you just said the right incantations and summoned the rain dragons, you could get them to rain. Rain meaning R-A-I-N, to rain down. But anyways, heaven has forbidden it to rain, so Monkey has to go to heaven to find out why it's not raining. He has more run-ins with the heavenly kings and the Jade Emperor, but it turns out that the king of this country committed an offense against heaven years ago when he upset the offering of food that was supposed to be given to heaven and then fed it to the dogs. And so then Monkey goes down and confronts the king about this, and the king said, yeah, it happened. I was having a quarrel with my wife. I got angry and I upset the food, and then I called in the dogs to eat it. He said, I had no idea heaven was going to be that upset about it. And Monkey said, well, it turns out that the Jade Emperor was visiting Earth. It just happened to be visiting Earth at the time you did that, so saw everything. The Jade Emperor, meaning the Emperor of Heaven in this book. So the king repents, and then heaven grants it rain. And that was, I believe that was chapter 87. Not the most exciting chapter, but it was something different. You know, I was complaining last week how almost all of these stories are fighting a demon. Here at least it's a little bit different. And then chapter 88, I said I was only going to read one story a week, but I ended up being, it's rainy season over here in Vietnam, and I ended up being trapped in a coffee shop, a coffee house, in the rain for a few hours on Friday afternoon. And I had already finished Wolf Hall. I had this book and Wolf Hall with me, so I kept reading into the next chapter. Now, in the next chapter, chapter 88, they're finally in India. I mean, they're not at their destination yet, but they're in. It's called Yuhua country, which is one of the prefectures of India. I suspect when the people wrote this book, they didn't really know that much about India, so I suspect this is all made up. There's probably not even a real province. But they are in the Indian city. They describe the people there as being just like the Chinese, and apparently speaking Chinese, no language barrier. So they go and meet the king of that city. The king of the city hosts them. Now, the monkey and the pig and Friar Sand are described as being very ugly. So they frighten the people who think they're demons. And the king's 3 sons come in to try and fight the demons. Now, the king's 3 sons are described as being very brave and noble, and this is portrayed as like a noble thing that these brave sons want to do, is to fight the demons. But then once Monkey and Pig and Friar Sand show off their powers, then the king's 3 sons want to be taken on as their disciples. I thought that Monkey and Pig and Friar Sand would be like, no, we're way too busy. But actually, they were very excited to have disciples. I'm not quite sure where this is going. I'm not sure if these disciples are going to be following them on the rest of their journey or not. I guess I'll find out as I keep reading. But Monkey takes a disciple, Pig takes a disciple, and Friar Sand takes a disciple, as the king has 3 sons. And each son is interested in one of the weapons that they all have. So one of the sons is interested in the cudgel that Monkey has. Another son is interested in the rake that Pig has. And another son is interested in the demon-quelling staff that Friar Sand has. So they're going to make duplicates of these because, first of all, they can't give up their weapons, and second of all, the original weapons are much too heavy for the humans to yield anyways. So they have blacksmiths make a copy of the weapons, but then they leave the weapons overnight with the blacksmith, and a leopard spirit who lives on the mountains, I think it's a leopard. Yeah, a leopard spirit who lives on the mountains nearby noticed the glow from the weapons in the city. And he came in on his cloud. All the spirits can fly in clouds. And he stole the weapons. And then the next morning, Pig and Friar Sand and Monkey woke up to find their weapons stolen. Initially, Pig wanted to blame the blacksmiths, but Monkey figured out it must be an evil spirit from the nearby mountains. And then that's as far as I've gotten. So the showdown with the evil spirit to regain their weapons, which will, I guess, be the rest of chapter 89, and maybe into the next chapter. We'll see. That's going to happen for next week's reading. And then, moving on to comic books, Thor the Epic Collection. So I mentioned last week that I was really enjoying this. I thought it was very imaginative, good comic book writing. This week, though, was not quite so imaginative. We had Thor go into the jungles of South America and what I'm pretty sure is a made-up country, Costa Verde, to fight the revolutionaries. The politics of this are pretty conservative. The revolutionaries are the bad guys. The government is the good guys. Thor gets mind-controlled by a gypsy with a special diamond who's also mind-controlling Fire Lord, who is this other character. And it's just pretty boring and by the numbers. But then we get to Marvel Spotlight. Now this is part of the Thor Epic Collection, but whoever edited this book together threw in one of the tie-in covers. So this is not from Thor, but Marvel Spotlight, which spotlights the adventures of Thor's three friends who are having adventures while Thor is out in South America. And it's classic fish out of water type thing. Like Thor's friends do not know how to interact with humans and are constantly, people are constantly thinking they're weird. It's very similar to the jokes that are played out in the Thor movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I can definitely see where those movies got their inspiration from. But it's fun. It works. And then the one I just started just now is Back to Asgard. So Odin is going crazy. I don't know if it's somebody disguised as Odin or somebody has possessed Odin. So Thor and his friends go back to the Rainbow Bridge where Heimdall is guarding it. Their friend Balder called them in. So Balder I recognize from the stories of Norse mythology. So I'd not really read the Thor comic book before, but it's neat to see this all tying in. And then epic battle on the Rainbow Bridge. So it's getting interesting again. Getting really weird, like in a good way, like really interesting once again. So we'll see how that goes. And that's my reading for this week. So thank you very much, and I will see you next week, BookTube.